Hello, David. How are you doing today, and where in the world you're dialing from?
Thank you for welcoming me to today's conversation. Uh, I am constantly traveling, but as it happens, I just came back from an extended trip in Panama and Canada. And when you see these books behind me, I'm in my house in northern Italy.
Oh, wow. So you're bookworm, probably, right?
Yes, actually, they go all around 360 degrees.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's so rare to meet a person, who loves books so much. Well, thank you so much for dialing in and joining my hot seat session today. The purpose of this sessions is to help entrepreneurs and companies all over the world to address their blind spots and gain competitive edge with the help of our lovely mentors, which is you. So before diving deeper into such an interesting topic, integrating AI and coaching, I'd like to hear more about you first.
I originally studied physics, but decided that I didn't want to be either an experimenter or a theoretical physicist. Immediately started working in the world of startups, actually in artificial intelligence back in the 1980s. At the time, of course, the approach was very different from today because we didn't have the large amounts of data that we have available. The algorithms were less advanced, and very importantly, the power of the hardware platforms was insufficient to crunch everything available today, which can be done in order to train the modern AI systems to deliver the kind of features that more and more people are accustomed to take advantage of. I have been involved in groups and initiatives that apply artificial intelligence in many different vertical areas. However, in looking ahead for the past 20 years to the kinds of developments that we are seeing today, what I asked myself is what is needed in order to make sure that people are going to be able to design a life of purpose and dignity in a world profoundly transformed by artificial intelligence. We are now on the cusp of radical transformations that urgently need these type of tools and platforms, and that is what gave birth to Actioneer.
That is such a great introduction. Thank you so much. It was really nice. So, based, on the topic that you are going to talk about today, this month's session, I wanted to give it a little twist, and make it based on the examples of, actual companies, imaginary companies that are facing a certain issue that AI can potentially help them solve. So, today's company, I imagine a startup that is called Tech Boost, and they specialize in creating innovative software solutions. And because they're so innovative, they're looking to continuously upskill their team to always be on top of the game. So I feel like coaching is absolutely necessary for that, and AI might actually help. But before, we can tell Tech Boost how they can actually solve this problem, let's quickly cover why actually upskilling is so important nowadays. And can AI actually facilitate it?
Um, it used to be the case, maybe at the beginning of the 20th century or up to the middle of the century, that everything you learned could be applied during your professional career, and that you could look forward completing your professional trajectory with that knowledge, having the necessity of adding very little to what you started with. However, already in the later part of the 20th century, the need of further training emerged very clearly, starting from the fact that the pace of change due to technology advancing, but also due to competition, required companies not to be happy with the given processes, approaches that they deployed and employed previously, but that those needed to be redesigned. And as a consequence, different skills and different approaches could be needed from their workforce as well. At the time, maybe what you would think is that someone in the middle of their professional life would take a few months in order to reskill or upskill, and then they would be done. They would be able to go for another 10 years or 20 years, whatever they left before retiring, and be able to provide value to the company they were part of, to the team that they participated in. At the turn of the century, this became also insufficient, and we started talking about continuous learning. We started talking about the need of understanding, analyzing, re-evaluating our professional skills, not on a one-off ad hoc basis, driven by necessity at the last possible minute, but in a more proactive manner, uh, very explicitly understanding whether those skills fit the needs, or they need to be updated or even replaced. And we started talking about um, designing the professional careers more explicitly, acquiring kind of a meta knowledge, a more abstract and clear view of how a person can achieve or maximize their potential. So here we are today, where the obstacles to this kind of approach are really non-existent. Companies in increasing numbers realize that their most important competitive advantage is in their ability to attract, retain, and maximize the use of human talent. As an example, when Google started and then became very successful, they introduced a concept of dedicating 20% of your time, one day basically out of the week, to your pet project on company money. And incredibly popular and valuable products were born out of this. As an example, Gmail, that hundreds of millions of people use today, were just a personal project of a Google engineer that wasn't born out of a plan starting top down. Realizing that it doesn't matter how many resources your organization has, you cannot expect to understand and plan for every possible outcome, and as a consequence, tell everyone what they should be doing, but that you have to rely on the initiative, the passion, and the talent of your team, is at the basis of blurring really the boundaries between large enterprises and startups, between um, entrepreneurship and what you would call intrapreneurship, being um, driven by problem solving, desire, by passion, and an ability to experiment and also accept the risks and the potential failures that come with those experiments. So these are all the components that really today require both employees and employers, team members at every step of the way to look at what they do very critically, proactively, and understand that they must keep learning and improving themselves and the tools they use in order to keep providing value to the teams that they are part of.
I agree, and it's actually interesting point that, I would like to add, from my perspective of somebody who was born at the turn of the century, Generation Z. I thought, that way back then it was actually this easier. You could upskill once in 20 years, you could be ready for your future profession, and that's it. Now it seems to be different, but when I graduated from school back then, I realized that, the root, the cause of the problem is actually back in school. We're still being taught that, once you graduate, your learning ends. You just go to your job, you do something, you earn money, and that's the end of the road. But it's always so crucial to remember that learning just never ends. It's the secret recipe of everything.
The disconnect between the traditional school system and the reality of the world and the practical, not only skills, but also the mentality required in order to be employable is dramatic. It really, to the point where there are now people who recognize the futility of certain types of traditional education because the balance between their investment in time and resources and the value that they get out of it is negative. So, if among our audience there are also people who participate at the decision making level in traditional institutions of education and learning, their challenges are huge, and the urgency of reforms is even larger than not in many other industries.
I agree. So, based on your answers, I believe that you have a lot of understanding, of what is the proper way to upskill and that is absolutely necessary nowadays. And I know that you also founded a company that is called Actioneer. I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, right?
Yes.
And it has a pretty interesting and unique approach. So I'd like you to tell me more about it. Can it actually be adopted to help startups like Tech Boost, to address, certain problems that are connected to upskilling?
So tools constantly emerge, and there is always a very natural question: are they mature enough to be usefully employed and adopted in order to address certain types of problems? When writing was invented, a lot of people could very reasonably say, well, I don't need to learn how to read and write. I can just do my job as a farmer uh, and live my life without that particular tool. Today, that is definitely not the case. If someone wants to be an active and valuable member of society, learning how to read and write is necessary. uh, Actioneer ultimately wants to provide AI-based tools that everyone, 8 billion people, or however many we will be at the time we reach 100% penetration in the global population, can use in order to be able to uh, analyze a rapidly changing world and their role in that world in a powerful manner. But we have to start from somewhere rather than just abstractly and theoretically talk about this hypothetical future. So we decided to concentrate on a group of people who are in the middle of a myriad challenges, bombarded by needs and requests and problems all around, and under a constant tension and pressure to perform at the maximum possible level. And these are the founders of startups. So, as a first approach, Actioneer offers AI powered uh, startup coaching tools that interactively guide someone to analyze their problems, prioritize their tasks and goals, commit to their execution, and then holds them accountable with respect to those tasks that have been discussed in a previous session, closing the loop and improving their ability to achieve their minimum viable product, for example, or product market fit, or whatever milestone they want to accomplish in their startup trajectory. Now, as I mentioned before, the boundaries between what is a startup and what is an enterprise are blurring. So, Actioneer and its platform and approach can be equally usefully applied inside a team that is part of a larger company as well, a team that concentrates in developing a new product line or getting approval and, as a consequence, funding from the mother company in order for that product or service to be fully developed and deployed at scale. The AI component is, of course, the crucial part, because there are a lot of wonderful ecosystems around the world, whether Silicon Valley in the United States, London in Europe, or Dubai in the Middle East, where startup founders can really open doors and take advantage of service providers, advisors, mentors, all kinds of support that they know they will need in order to succeed. Third-party validation, feedback, or criticism. This goes, of course, from the crucial part of funding, investment capital, to other components, legal advice, building a sales team, or designing a particular business strategy, and so on. Accelerators and incubators are specialized structures that attract startups that apply in order to take advantage of their integrated services that promise to really hone the skills of a team as they look at the particular project that they want to bring to success. However, in all of these ecosystems that I mentioned, the services provided by these excellent ecosystem players are almost always very exclusive. They are proud of admitting in their latest cohort only a fraction of all of those who applied. Oh, we received the thousands applications, and we are now starting with the cohort of the teams participating in our accelerator program, and they are 10. 1 out of 100 are admitted. But it doesn't mean that those who didn't make the cut don't deserve the type of support and the type of attention that they need in order to either succeed or to reasonably find out that their idea is not viable. Or people who are simply not in those hubs, they are not in those geographical areas, and for whom the possibility of physically relocating is very remote, very expensive, or bureaucratically impossible. And that is why Actioneer's scalable platform that can support anyone, anywhere, in an inclusive manner, with very high quality feedback and advice, regardless of the type of challenge that they are looking at analyzing, taking advantage of the platform, is so valuable and so useful.
Yes, that sounds really nice. And it's actually interesting that you already started answering my second question because, we in Gleek, we believe that education, should be accessible to everyone, and that's exactly what you're talking about when you mention an actioneer. So, maybe for our audience, because I know they're really interested in that, maybe, one more time we can summarize how such an AI driven approach of coaching can make it, can make coaching accessible to a lot of employees on different levels, and it's really high quality.
I hope that everyone who is following this session is familiar with ChatGPT. And I really invite everyone to put aside $20, maybe not more, and experience the difference between the free version and the paid version of ChatGPT. In particular, the free version is based on GPT 3.5. The paid version is based on GPT-4. And it may look like a small difference, but indeed it is a huge difference because the performance of the two models is incomparable. GPT-4, and as a consequence, the paid version of ChatGPT really shines as opposed to the limits and the very reasonable criticism that we still today read about the lack of performance of the free version and GPT 3.5. Why do I mention this? It's because the performance of AI systems doesn't linearly increase. As a matter of fact, it is not even exponential. The type of improvement in the performance of our computers, our smartphones that we have grown accustomed, that has the name of Moore's Law, sees a doubling of their power approximately every couple of years. And for the past 50 years, this trend held. So we have started to understand and to expect this kind of behavior. Some companies haven't been able to realize it and they paid a huge price. Kodak famously invented the digital camera, but couldn't believe that it could improve to the point where people would stop using cameras based on film. Or Blockbuster had the opportunity to enter different markets. What is today the streaming market dominated by Netflix, but they didn't see that as something would ever be possible. However, in today's world, the performance of AI systems increases at a rate that is much faster than the mere exponential doubling we have seen in the past. As an example, the leader of the hardware components of AI, NVIDIA, published data that in a given amount of time, they would have seen the performance of their systems increase 1,000-fold if they were following Moore's law, what I just described before. Instead, during the same period of time, the performance of their systems increased 10 million-fold. Rather than 1,000-fold, 10 million-fold. Almost too steep to understand and to internalize and to understand how this can be impacting our ability to attack and solve problems. But this is the world that we are living in. I call this the paradigm of jolting technologies, going beyond mere exponentials. An actioneer takes advantage of this paradigm, of a deep understanding of this kind of approach, and it aims to make available to everyone and anyone the kind of features and the kind of benefits that we haven't even seen before sometimes, and too many have even a hard time dreaming about what is possible. But the world is changing, and the barriers to entry in order to experiment and to understand what is becoming possible are practically non-existent. That is why I invite anyone who is following us to not only play with ChatGPT, free or hopefully paid version, but also to sign up to the wait list of Actioneer. The platform is under development as we speak, and we will be adding and admitting users to the Actioneer platform in order for them to take advantage of its various features as we are building them. Of course, ourselves taking advantage fully of the power that AI gives us, everyone, not only the Actioneer team, but everyone who follows us and who are proactive enough to want to be part of a future that is coming very fast.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. But before letting you go, actually, prior to this session, I received a question from one of our experts, and I really liked it. She mentioned that she is a part of learning and development team of a startup, and she doesn't really know where to start and why what to do, with the coaching because when it comes to startup upskilling, is somewhere on the outskirts. You don't really know what to do, how to do. You're just trying to, balance different balls, doing the startup thing. Where do I start, and how can AI help me make it more efficient? Just, some simple steps that she can take, as a beginner.
So definitely the challenge that everyone has at first is not only to solve a problem that they are already seeing and have identified, is to make sure that they are solving the right problem. It is of little help to be successful rapidly and having solved the wrong problem. So Actioneer starts not only by helping you understand and analyze the particular challenge or task that you want to address, it helps you have a broader understanding and to prioritize which are the challenges, which are the problems that you should concentrate on first. And this kind of broader picture, this kind of context is really invaluable because it maximizes the probability that the deployment of your skills or the improvement of your skills and the resources that you dedicate are addressing those problems that will bring the highest possible returns as you iterate towards your ultimate levels of success.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering the question. And as we are wrapping up the session, on my side, I'd like to say that I really admired, the way of how our conversation unfolded. You were absolutely calm, you were reserved, your answers were really structured. And I would say that it's exactly the type of mentor I would personally like to have. So thank you so much for this lovely conversation. And I really do hope that our audience enjoy it just as much. And you will take a look, you will play with ChatGPT, and you will sign up for the Actioneer waitlist. Again, thank you so much, David, for dedicating your time today. And I'm hoping to see you thriving in our Gleek community.
Thank you. It was a privilege to be here, and I'm looking forward to continuing our conversations online in every possible platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Goodbye.